Hey everyone, welcome back to the GameSpot demo stage here at E3 2017. Joining Oscar and myself is Andy from Slightly Mad Studios, here to, well, we're going to have a live demo of Project Cars 2.
Hey, how's it going?
Very well, thank you. How's your E3 been?
Yeah, crazy, busy. Have to be as enthusiastic with the next person as the previous person. Got some amazing stuff to show you guys.
Yeah.
A few truths to set straight out there.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get going.
All right, what truths do you need to set straight?
Well, there are a few racing games out there at the moment. Yeah.
I might have heard, I might have seen.
Right, and the guys at home may not know which one to get. So therefore, we're here to tell you that Project Cars continues to be the most authentic racing game out there, the most technically advanced racing game out there, and also it's still by far the most successful and #1 racing esport out there as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So it's built in from day one to support esports and to help sort of cultivate that community.
Yeah, so we started doing this in 2015. We've had weekly events ever since and monthly finals. Red Bull 5G were kind enough to remove Gran Turismo from the roster and put us in there instead. We've been to Intel Extreme Masters. We've been to DreamHack. We've had 2 major series with Logitech and Nvidia. We've got a current Season 3, which has got 7 of the biggest and best teams out there fighting for the championship. We're going to be going to the World Finals in Gamescom to truly crown one of those guys the champion and give them a great big trophy. So yeah, Project Cars 2 has got esports built in from day one because it's just naturally happened and we've cultivated it as such.
What's it like sort of coming up, I mean, you mentioned Gran Turismo there, having, these mainstays in racing games and you guys kind of, pardon the pun, overtaking them, right?
There we go, that's right. I
Nice.
love that attitude, that's true. We've been making racing games for a very long time. And over that time, we've been gradually nipping at the heels of those guys and building up our own technology, building up Project Cars as a franchise. Remember, we made it alongside the fans, so we put in features and game modes and stuff that they wanted in the first game. We launched in 2015. We were the best racing game of 2015 from a number of credible sources. We did financially and successfully well there, and it started what we hoped would be the start of a brand new franchise. So here we are, and whilst other people may have rested on their laurels with that stuff, we've continued to innovate in that. And as you may remember from the days of like Pro Evo Soccer and FIFA, they were battling it out for supremacy, and now we've got to the stage where, yeah, we can wholeheartedly put our hand on our hearts and say that, yeah, those guys are now playing catch up with us, which is a fantastic position to be in.
Do you still feel like you can learn stuff from those other franchises though, or do you purely feel like you're head and shoulders above them? Or?
No, it would be completely arrogant for me to sit here and say, oh no, we're the best, and be completely blind to that. Of course, we play everyone else's games. We have our little spies working out to try and find out what everyone else is doing. Absolutely, we're big racing game fans. Personally, I've been a gamer all my life, so every game that I play, every game that the guys back home are playing in the studio is going to be influencing every game we make from now on. So yeah, of course we're looking at what the competition are doing and making sure that we continue to innovate and set a brand new benchmark in a number of areas of what we are doing in Project Cars 2.
But also you can learn from yourself as well, right? Is there anything from the first Project Cars that you look back on and think, oh, we could have done this differently, and for the second one now you've improved on that?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what we did day one. So although we made it with the fans, we released the game. There were a number of things, like a top 10 list of things that the fans felt we hadn't quite gotten to, or things that they felt could be improved upon. So we fixed that stuff straight away, yeah? So things to do with the force feedback handling on the wheels, stuff to do with the gamepad handling. In the first game, we gave you 3 different presets, which were based off how you may feel other people's racing games play, and you would choose the one which is most appropriate to you. But the feedback that we got was that people just want it to work great out of the box, and quite rightly so. So yeah, absolutely, we learn from things like that, and we fix that stuff straight away. So yeah, Project Cars 2 had all that stuff fixed very early on, and then we got to the brand new game modes, brand new tracks, brand new cars, all that kind of stuff.
What would you say has been the biggest change, the biggest innovation between Project Cars 1 and 2?
I mean, it goes across the board. So brand new cars, brand new tracks, that's easy, right? That's just even more assets to play with. When it comes to like Rallycross, which you guys are watching right now, that's a game mode that we wanted to get to for a very long time. It's an awesome game mode which has both tarmac and dirt-based stuff. And yeah, we're very pleased to be able to say you do not need to go and buy a separate dirt-based racing game in order to get that fix. You know, you can have it straight here in Project Cars 2, as well as sliding sideways and the Mercedes ice racing circuit over in northern Sweden and Lapland. So the ability to do things like Rallycross all kind of comes out of the fact that we've got a brand new physics and tyre physics system, which I could go into in infinite detail, but I can see your eyes are glazing over already.
No.
But absolutely, the thing about it is that the complexity and accuracy of your tyre physics is almost like the Colonel's secret recipe. It's if you have that awesome stuff there, that really dictates how accurate your game is, how authentic it is, how the car feels, how the wheel works as well. And we've got a brand new system for Project Cars 2, which goes even above and beyond what the competition are doing in that respect.
I think in a lot of ways, sometimes people don't really understand how changing things like physics can be so instrumental in improving your games. I would actually like to talk about more of the physics things that you've added.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, did you just play the first game and think, I wish it would do this, I wish it would do this? And are the more powerful consoles that we now have, like the PS4 Pro, Xbox One X, are they enabling you to do that?
Yeah, they are. We can do even more stuff on those consoles, but absolutely we know that PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC all need to have complete parity. Mm-hmm. We want you to be able to play the game to our standards, on any single platform whatsoever. So it has to work on every console out there anyway, regardless of whether you have the Xbox One X or the PlayStation 4 Pro version of it. But yeah, there is a lot of stuff in there that has been rewritten, brought in from the ground up, stuff that the code team looked at and we were like, we need to rewrite this from the ground up completely. Stuff that was just not possible in the first game that they've now added in there. So yeah, and all that stuff makes it even more authentic, even more accurate, even more fun in the case. Because, we're saying words like complexity and things like that, which can maybe be interpreted as hard and not fun, yeah? But actually, all this stuff, in this particular case of Rallycross, the new tyre physics actually mean that you can slide sideways even better when you couldn't really do that as much in the first game. And that's especially important in game modes like this, where you're supposed to be going sideways and not in a straight line.
Now, you touched on platforms there. We've seen the Nintendo Switch come out in the past few months and absolutely blow up. Is there any chance of a Switch version in the future, do you think? Either this game or another one in a future Project Cars game in the series?
I'm not going to allow people to get their hopes up for this kind of stuff, unfortunately. Yeah, we're not looking at Nintendo Switch currently.
Sure.
You are looking at VR, right?
Absolutely. We were a launch title for the Oculus Rift when that came about. We'd been working with Oculus for 3 years before it even came out, right? And we were making sure that the entire game was completely comfortable experience, and it was as immersive as we possibly could make it. And therefore, yes, when Project Cars 2 launches, the entire game can be played in VR. We're that confident that it's a really comfortable experience that you can actually sit there for hours on end. And actually, as we found in Project Cars 1, it makes you a better driver. The sense of spatial awareness means that you can judge braking distances better. When you go into a corner, you're looking at the apex, you're tilting your head in to counteract the camber on the actual road. When somebody overtakes you, you can't help but instinctively glance left or right. You can look in your rearview mirrors and see who's behind you. All that kind of stuff, makes the game far more immersive. When our real drivers get in there and put VR in there, they are treating it like real life. Something clicks in their brain, and whenever they go to crash or something, they immediately go into the brace position because the sensation of realism is absolutely accurate.
Do you find that people's lap times are quicker when they're playing in VR then?
Yeah, what we're seeing is that many of our esport pros are actually moving to VR because of what I just said. It gives you a tactical and skill advantage over those who don't. So yeah, the racing genre has always been pretty accepting of brand new peripherals, wheels, pedals, seats, all that kind of stuff. And now finally we've got a helmet. So yeah, absolutely. You know, VR. We when the game launched, we supported so many steering wheels. We actually caused a international shortage of wheels, which was an amazing thing. We're very sorry for, of course, but equally like amazing that, you know, because a wheel is of course the most natural user input device for a racing game, and now we believe that VR is also, like, it's Project Cars 2 especially is a pinnacle title for VR.
You said earlier that it's, I think you said the #1 hardcore simulation game, I think were your words. Is it hard to try and balance appealing to that hardcore audience at the same time as appealing to people like myself who maybe only play one racing game a year? You know, I'm not a hardcore fan in the genre. Is that difficult to try and balance those two audiences?
So what we do is that the same game that you buy for $60, whether it's on PC or PS4 or whatever, it's still the same game that the pro drivers play on a motion rig in VR, training for their real life races, which is the same one that you sit down on a Saturday night with a beer with your feet up, you know, just playing a completely different experience, but it's still the same underpinning game there. It's just as complicated and authentic and challenging as the one that the pros are driving, but we now make sure that the user interface, the presentation, the way that we present things to the player, whether it's the defaults that we put in, or adding in additional sliders to make sure the opponents are set correctly, the way that you can now simply choose, you know, car, track, press start, and off you go, as well as having all the advanced settings in there if you really want to dive deeper. On Project Cars 1, it was a little overwhelming, the number of sliders and features and options that we gave you. This time around, it's a lot more slickly presented, which is going to allow you to get into a game a lot quicker. And in things like career mode, we're adding in even more accessibility options by allowing you to do short seasons as opposed to long, so you don't have to do 12 rounds of a whole season. We've made it even more streamlined to get into a race in the first place, and removed things like the calendar, where previously if you got an invitational event, you had to wait all year for it to appear in the calendar, then play it, and if you failed, you had to then wait another year to do it. Now we treat them like rewards, and they're in this awesome bucket that you can go into and play as many times as you want. So yeah, we've really learned from the first game, and also the feedback that the players at home have been telling us, and we've refined and streamlined the whole experience.
Well, Andy, thank you so much for joining us. I'm afraid we're out of time, but it's not long to wait until we can play Project Cars 2.
Yeah, absolutely. September 22nd on PlayStation 4 with PlayStation 4 Pro enhancements, Xbox One with Xbox One X enhancements, and Steam as well.
Thank you so much for joining us. Guys, make sure you don't go anywhere. In a couple of minutes, we will have The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Master Trials live on the stage. See you then.